The great Galactic Council Hall shimmered with light. Hundreds of alien species filled the massive chamber, their voices buzzing like a hive. From the tall crystalline beings of Velar Prime to the scaled warlords of Draker, every race in the Milky Way had come together for the annual summit. Every race, except one, Earth. The humans were invited, of course. They were invited every year. But they never came. Some said they were too primitive. Others whispered that humanity had destroyed itself long ago. The truth was simpler. No one really knew what happened to them. Until today. A deep vibration rolled through the council floor. The glowing walls flickered. The massive holographic display above the chamber glitched for the first time in a century. A blue alert sign flared, unregistered fleet arrival, system origin, Sol. Every delegate froze. From the council balcony, High Chancellor R.H. Tech of the Kareth Alliance hissed. Sol system. That's Earth's star. His 4 eyes blinked in disbelief. Impossible, murmured another delegate. Humans are extinct. But the sensors didn't lie. The transmission came again, clear and powerful. A human voice spoke, firm and calm. This is Admiral Rachel Hayes of the United Terran Command, requesting entry to the Galactic Council. The room erupted into chaos. The Draker warlord slammed his claws on the table. Terran Command? They dare approach with warships. His words were half roar, half fear. Council drones projected a live feed into the air. Hundreds of ships appeared, sleek, black, and armed. A massive flagship led the formation, its hull shimmering with strange new alloys. The ships didn't match any known design. They weren't old Earth relics. They were something far more advanced. They brought an armada, whispered RH Tech. After centuries of silence, they come with guns. The hall's temperature seemed to drop. The Federation of Velar delegates glowed with nervous light. The translator drones buzzed faster than ever, trying to keep up with the flood of voices. No one dared open the gate. The council's chairman, an aged being made of shifting sand, finally spoke. Humans of Earth, identify your purpose. There was a long silence. Then, the human admiral's voice came again, colder this time. We're here because you held your meetings, about our planet. About humanity. Without us. A shockwave of guilt rippled through the chamber. Everyone knew it was true. Decades ago, the council had debated what to do with Earth after contact went silent. Some wanted to claim its resources. Others wanted to quarantine it. But they had never expected an answer. Now, that answer had arrived. The Admiral continued, her voice steady but heavy with warning. We are no longer the same species you remember. We learned, we built, and we united. We came not to ask for a seat, but to claim what was promised. The Draker warlord bared his fangs. Claim. You come armed to claim. But before he could say more, the human fleet shifted formation. The hologram zoomed in on their flagship, a symbol was etched into its hull. A blue circle, with a white star inside. Beneath it, the old Earth flag fluttered on the screen. Gasps filled the hall. The Admiral spoke again, softer this time. You wanted to forget us. But we never forgot the stars. Silence fell over the entire chamber. No one moved. Even the drones hovered still. Then, something strange happened. One of the smaller ships in the human fleet detached and began descending toward the Council's main landing platform. The readings showed no weapons active, no shields raised. Just a single shuttle, coming down slowly, peacefully. But no one believed it was harmless. The Chancellor turned to his security officers. Prepare defense protocols. If they attempt anything. The command cut off as the shuttle's landing gear touched the platform. A hiss of air escaped as the ramp lowered. From the smoke, a single human stepped out, tall, calm, dressed in a black uniform with silver lines. His boots echoed across the silent hall. Greetings, he said simply, his voice echoing. I'm Captain Elias Ward, representative of Earth. The silence stretched painfully. The alien delegates stared. Some feared him, others studied him like a curiosity. Finally, RH Tech spoke. Captain Ward. Earth was thought lost. How did you survive? Ward smiled faintly. By remembering who we are. By doing what humans always do. Adapt. His eyes scanned the alien faces before him. You spoke of us in your meetings. You decided our fate. You judged us, without knowing what we became. The Chancellor shifted uncomfortably. And what have you become? Ward looked up toward the hologram of his fleet. Hundreds of ships waiting like silent sentinels. Stronger, he said. Smarter. And tired of being ignored. The tension in the room grew heavier with every second. No one noticed the small device Captain Ward carried at his belt. A faint blue light blinking softly. Outside, in orbit, the human flagship's engines pulsed once. The signal was synchronized. The aliens didn't know it yet, but something had already been set in motion. Ward's final words before the recording cut sent chills through everyone listening. The galaxy held their meetings. Now, it's time Earth held theirs. The lights in the chamber flickered once more. And then, everything went dark. When the lights died, the chamber filled with confusion. Dozens of alien delegates shouted in panic. Translator drones buzzed wildly, flashing red. The Great Galactic Council, usually calm and proud, now sounded like a frightened crowd trapped in the dark. Then emergency lights flickered on, dim blue, casting long shadows on the walls. Captain Elias Ward stood exactly where he had been, his expression calm, unreadable. The small blue light on his belt had stopped blinking. High Chancellor RH Tech hissed through his teeth. What have you done, human? Are you attacking us? Ward shook his head slowly. No. We disabled your surveillance systems. Nothing more. The Council's chairman, the ancient being of shifting sand, tried to keep order. Explain yourself, Captain. You come armed, you block our systems, and you expect us to welcome you. Ward stepped forward, his boots echoing on the metal floor. We didn't come to fight. But we won't kneel, either. Earth learned long ago that silence is dangerous. When we stopped hearing from the Council, we assumed you'd forgotten us, or worse, decided for us. He paused. So we watched. From the shadows. Every alien in the hall turned to him in disbelief. You watched us? The Velar delegate asked, glowing nervously. For how long? Almost a century. The words hit like a thunderclap. A century. The humans had been out there, unseen, silently growing strong while the galaxy thought them dead. The Draker warlord slammed his claws into the table. Spying. You dare spy on the Council? That's an act of war. Ward's calm eyes met his. You built war long before we came. You just forgot what it looks like. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut steel. Then the Admiral's voice echoed again through the comm systems above. Captain Ward, status. Secure, he replied. The Council is listening. Good. Proceed. The Council chamber's massive windows shimmered to life, and every delegate gasped. Outside, in orbit, the human armada shifted. The ships spread into perfect formation, glowing trails crossing the stars like lines on a map. Then, the image zoomed in, not on the ships, but on something behind them. A vast, metallic structure floated in space, circular, almost the size of a moon. It spun slowly, and thousands of lights flickered across its surface. Alien sensors tried to read it, but the data was scrambled. The object was built from materials unknown to the Council. What is that? Whispered RH Tech, his voice trembling. Ward smiled faintly. That is the Aegis Array, a human creation, built to defend Earth and any world under its protection. The Council erupted again in argument. Impossible. Humans could never build such a thing. They must have stolen alien technology. Ward let them argue for a moment before speaking again. You underestimate what desperation creates. When Earth fell silent, we didn't vanish. We united. No nations. No borders. Just one purpose: to survive. The chairman's eyes flickered with a strange glow. Survive what? Ward hesitated for the first time. Something coming, he said quietly. Something old. You've all forgotten it. But we haven't. The aliens exchanged confused looks. What do you mean? Asked the Veeler. What is coming? Ward didn't answer. He pressed a small control on his wrist instead. A hologram appeared above the table, a recording, grainy and distorted. It showed a world torn apart. Massive shadows moved through clouds of fire. Strange, worm-like shapes with glowing red cores ripped through cities and continents. This, Ward said softly, is what we call the Devourers. The delegates stared in horror. They came from outside the galaxy, Ward continued. They destroyed 3 colonies before we stopped them. And we did stop them. But not alone. Who helped you? RH Tech asked, voice shaking. Ward looked around the room. You did, he said simply. All of you. Or rather, the pieces of your technology that you left behind. Old ruins. Abandoned probes. Forgotten satellites. We scavenged your lost history and made it ours. The hall fell silent again. The meaning sank in slowly. Humanity had risen using the scraps the other species had discarded. The chairman's voice grew heavy. Then why come now? If you faced such monsters, why not ask for aid instead of arriving with fleets? Ward's tone turned cold. Because we did ask. 100 years ago. You didn't answer. His gaze swept across the chamber. So now we ask differently. Every delegate felt the weight of those words. It wasn't arrogance. It was truth mixed with warning. Then Admiral Hayes' voice came again, calm but firm. Captain Ward, tell them what we want. Ward nodded. Earth wants entry to the Galactic Council, not as a probationary world, not as a minor species, but as an equal power. The Draker warlord's scales rippled with fury. Equal. You dare compare your world of dirt to empires older than your sun? Ward's answer was quiet but sharp. Older doesn't mean stronger. It just means slower. Gasps rippled through the hall. The Chancellor struck his staff against the floor. Enough. This arrogance ends here. But before he could continue, the emergency lights dimmed again. A new transmission cut through the static. It wasn't human, and it wasn't from any council system. A deep, echoing voice filled the air. They've found you. The lights flickered violently. The hologram showing the Aegis array zoomed out. Behind it, just at the edge of sensor range, something moved. Dozens of dark shapes, enormous and shifting, like shadows crawling across the stars. Ward's face went pale. No, he whispered. Not yet. They're early. RH Tech's voice cracked. What are those things? Ward's eyes hardened. The reason we built the Armada. He turned back to the council, his voice sharp now. You wanted peace? Then stand with us. Because the meeting is over. The war just arrived. The floor trembled as the first alarm sounded across the station. Outside, the shadows kept coming. The chamber shook as the first warning bells rang across the Galactic Council. The shadows outside, massive, alien, impossible to define, crept closer to the system. Even the sensors of the Council could not penetrate them. They weren't ships, not entirely. They moved with a strange intelligence, twisting the light around them, leaving nothing but darkness in their wake. High Chancellor RH Tech struggled to maintain composure. What are they? He whispered. Even his 4 glowing eyes showed fear. Ward did not answer immediately. Instead, he gestured toward the hologram of the Aegis array and the human fleet. Those are the Devourers. They consume everything in their path. Worlds, stars, empires. And they've come early this time. The chairman, ancient and trembling, spoke slowly. You knew they existed all this time? Ward nodded. We didn't just survive. We prepared. But we couldn't face them alone. We needed to understand every threat in the galaxy, and we did, quietly. The room was silent. Every delegate, from the crystalline Velar to the scaled Draker, felt the weight of Ward's words. These humans had not only survived centuries of isolation, they had been ready for a threat the entire council had ignored. The first Devourer appeared on the council's main sensor grid. Its size was enormous, bigger than the largest capital ships in the galaxy. Its surface seemed alive, writhing with strange energy. It advanced without hesitation, consuming space itself as it moved. The Draker warlord roared. How do we fight that? Ward's eyes were cold. You don't. Gasps filled the chamber. You. The Velar delegate stammered. You can't fight it. Ward shook his head. We can, but only together. Individually, none of your fleets, even combined, would survive 10 minutes. Humanity learned long ago that some wars cannot be won alone. RH-Tech's claws scraped the floor. You expect us to work with you? Ward smiled faintly. I don't expect. I tell you. Join us, or die. The choice is yours. There was silence. Then, the chairman spoke, his voice steady but heavy. Very well. Let it be known, for the first time in history, the council and humanity will fight as one. The meeting becomes a war council. Ward nodded. Good. Prepare your fleets. Our Armada will take the lead, but we will need every capable ship in the system. You will not just fight the Devourers, you will survive them. And perhaps, if we succeed, you will finally understand why humans do not bow. Outside, the Devourers advanced. One massive shadow breached the edge of the Sol system, its form shifting and expanding with each passing second. Sensors could only guess its true size, but even the smallest estimate made the fleets tremble. Admiral Hayes' voice came through the comm, all human ships, engage Formation Delta 7. Shield arrays online. Weapons ready. Deploy drones to scan Devourer biology. We need every advantage. The council delegates scrambled to respond. Some shouted orders in languages no one else understood. Others argued about tactics. Ward did not wait. He turned to the hologram and tapped a sequence, sending fleets into perfect formation. The Aegis array spun slowly, its energy fields flaring. Massive beams of blue light shot toward the Devourers, striking their writhing bodies. For a moment, the shadow recoiled. Then it struck back, a wave of dark energy that tore through space and slammed into the council station. Alarms screamed. The council chamber shook violently. Glass shattered. Crystalline Velar cried out as shards rained around them. The Draker warlord struggled to maintain balance on his claws. Yet, Ward stood firm, unwavering. The Devourers are intelligent, he shouted over the alarms. They test us. They learn. We must be faster. A smaller human frigate launched from the Armada, dodging the Devourer's attack with impossible speed. Drones swarmed around it, scanning. Data streamed back to the flagship in seconds. Ward analyzed it, then issued new commands. Target the energy cores along the midsection, he ordered. Their armor adapts slowly, but these points are vulnerable. Council ships hesitated. Many had never operated under such precision before. Ward walked among them, projecting calm authority. Do as I say. If we survive this, you will remember it forever. And if we fail, your species will not. Time seemed to stretch. The Devourers pressed forward, attacking with terrifying precision. Human and alien fleets moved together, forming shields, striking weak points, retreating, and striking again. It was chaotic but beautiful in its own deadly rhythm. Then came a new sound, a low hum, almost musical, emanating from the largest Devourer. It pulsed across the system. Space itself seemed to shiver. Council sensors reported strange distortions in time near the fleet. Ships flickered, appearing and disappearing. Some weapons misfired. Ward's eyes narrowed. They're learning faster than expected. Keep moving. Keep adapting. We are not prey, we are predators tonight. Even the Velar and Draker began to follow his commands without question. Slowly, methodically, the combined fleet began to push back. The Devourers retreated slightly, their movements growing cautious. Ward's voice rang across the comms. This is only the beginning. You will see what humans do when they fight together. You will see why we never bowed. And when this war is over, the galaxy will remember, Earth does not kneel. For the first time, a flicker of hope crossed the delegates' faces. Perhaps survival was possible. Perhaps the humans had returned not just for themselves, but for all who underestimated them. But the Devourers were patient. They were ancient. And they would not stop. The stars beyond the council station burned dark. Shadows twisted among them. And humanity's armada was only just beginning to strike. The council chamber was in chaos, yet a strange rhythm had begun. Alien delegates and human officers moved in synchrony, issuing orders, deploying fleets, and responding to the Devourers' attacks. For the first time in history, species that had once viewed each other with suspicion fought side by side. Ward stood at the center of the chamber, his eyes scanning the holographic battlefield. Their attacks are changing, he said. They adapt faster than any predator we've faced before. But they're not perfect. Every creature has a weakness. A crystalline Velar delegate, her glowing form flickering from the stress of battle, spoke urgently. Captain Ward, our sensors indicate the Devourers are using a form of energy we have never recorded. It disrupts our shields and distorts space around them. We cannot get a stable lock. Ward nodded. I've seen this before, he said. They're not just animals, they are machines and life, fused into something intelligent. They evolve with every strike. Our fleets must evolve faster. He turned toward RH Tech. You command your warships as you always have. I'll command mine. Watch carefully and copy every maneuver. We don't have time for hesitation. The Draker warlord grunted but followed the order. Fine. But if these humans fail, it will be your heads, Ward. Ward didn't flinch. If we fail, it will be everyone's. Outside, in orbit, the Devourers pressed forward. One massive shadow suddenly expanded, its tendrils reaching toward the council station like black lightning. Energy spikes erupted from its core, hitting fleets with sudden bursts. Ships disintegrated instantly. Smaller alien vessels were vaporized before they could react. Admiral Hayes' voice echoed through the comms. Human fleets, engage evasive patterns Gamma 5. Protect the council station at all costs. Focus fire on the tendrils. The combined fleets moved like a living organism. Humans shielded weaker alien ships. Alien warships fired strategically, guided by Ward's commands. Slowly, the Devourers' attacks began to falter. But then something new happened. One of the Devourers split. Its massive body fragmented, each piece moving independently, coordinating attacks with terrifying intelligence. The Council's largest warship barely escaped being torn apart. Ward's jaw tightened. They can divide. That explains the distortions. They are a collective intelligence. Each fragment shares information instantly. But collective minds have flaws. If we force them into chaos, we can exploit it. He turned to RH Tech and the other delegates. You listen carefully. Split your fleets. Each of you will simulate independent attacks. Confuse them. Make them think the fleet is fractured, weak, and easy prey. Meanwhile, our armada will focus on a single target, the central core of the largest devourer. The council delegates hesitated. This was risky. But they had no choice. Survival demanded it. As the fleets moved, the devourers reacted as predicted, aggressively, but with overconfidence. They tried to attack multiple points at once, overextending themselves. Ward's Armada exploited the openings, striking hard and fast. One of the Devourers screamed, a sound that wasn't sound at all, but a vibration felt deep inside the hulls of ships. Energy flares erupted across its body. Small explosions weakened its structure. The core glowed brighter, then faltered. Ward's voice cut through the chaos. All firepower on the core. Now. The fleet unleashed everything. Plasma beams, missiles, energy pulses, and alien weapons coordinated perfectly. The core of the Devourer shuddered and cracked. Then, with a massive explosion that lit up space, it broke apart. Outside, fragments of the Devourer fell into the void, vanishing into the darkness. The remaining shadows hesitated, retreating slightly. RH-Tech stared at the hologram, his scales trembling. How did you know? How did humans do that? Ward's eyes softened, but his voice was firm. We've watched, learned, and adapted. That is what humans do. We survive by thinking ahead, by seeing patterns others miss. We do not wait for the future to come to us, we shape it ourselves. The chairman, ancient and shifting, nodded slowly. Indeed. You are unlike any species we have ever known. Perhaps we underestimated you. Ward looked at the council chamber. Do not underestimate us again. The galaxy is changing. We will not sit quietly while threats approach. We will fight. We will win. And we will survive. Admiral Hayes' voice came again. Prepare for the next wave. They won't stop. They never do. The council realized the truth. These Devourers were just the beginning. Humanity's arrival had shifted the balance of power. For the first time, an alien race, and not the oldest, largest, or most advanced, held the key to survival. The chamber was quiet for a moment, everyone processing what had just happened. Then the Devourer's distant shadows appeared again, creeping toward the system like a black tide. Ward's gaze hardened. This is far from over. But tonight, Earth showed the galaxy what it is capable of. And tonight, the galaxy learned that humans do not bow. The council delegates exchanged looks of awe, fear, and respect. They had survived the first wave because of humans. And they would survive future attacks only if they continued to trust them. The stars beyond the council station burned dark, but humanity's fleet remained steadfast, a line of shining hope against the encroaching shadows. The war had only begun. And the Devourers were patient. The calm after the first Devourer's defeat was temporary. The council chamber buzzed with activity, but the delegates could not shake a feeling of unease. The human armada remained in formation, its ships like black sentinels ready to strike again. Ward stood before the holographic battlefield, eyes sharp. They've learned from the first attack. That was just a probe. The Devourers are testing us, gathering information. RH-Tech's claws scraped the floor. Testing. They killed billions of tons of your fleet. How can you claim this was a test? Ward's eyes narrowed. Because the attack was precise. They didn't destroy everything. They avoided the council station. They wanted data, not destruction. The Velar delegate glimmered nervously. Then, they have intelligence. They plan. Ward nodded. More than that. They think. And the thinking is not slow. It is instant, collective, and adaptive. Each fragment shares knowledge with the others faster than any neural network we know. If we do not act carefully, they will overwhelm us. Admiral Hayes' voice echoed. Captain Ward, sensor readings show movement at the edge of the system. Multiple large shadows. Too coordinated to be random. They're advancing in patterns, calculating, predicting our next move. The Draker warlord growled. Then we attack first. Hit them with everything. Ward shook his head. No. That's what they expect. They want a frontal attack. They are baiting us. We must draw them in, manipulate them, force them to make mistakes. The council delegates hesitated. Ward's calm confidence was unnerving. Slowly, they began to understand, they had no choice but to follow. The fleets repositioned. Humans led the Council warships into a tight formation, feigning weakness. Smaller alien ships acted as decoys, drawing the devourers closer. The shadows responded instantly, splitting into dozens of tendrils, encircling the fleet. RH-Tech's voice trembled. They are everywhere. They've surrounded us. Ward's eyes didn't waver. Good. That's exactly where we want them. Focus all firepower on the tendrils nearest the Council station. Then pull back in coordinated patterns. Every move you make must be precise. The devourers struck. Their tendrils slammed into ships, tearing through metal, energy shields, and plasma. Several alien vessels exploded instantly. Panic flared. Ward's voice cut through the chaos. Steady. Remember your positions. Use their momentum against them. A Velar cruiser fired a high-energy pulse, hitting one of the Devourer fragments. The fragment shattered, but instantly, its surrounding shadows reformed, adjusting their attack patterns. They were learning, faster than anyone could process. Ward clenched his fists. They are evolving mid-battle. Predicting, adapting. But they can't think like humans. They can't improvise. RH-Tech looked at him, uncertain. How do you know? Ward's lips curved slightly. Because humans do. We think in chaos, in unpredictability, in ways that machines and instincts cannot calculate. That is our advantage. That is why we survived a century alone. Ward tapped to control. Across the fleet, ships shifted positions in ways no algorithm could calculate. Decoy patterns, feints, sudden retreats, every move was calculated instinctively. The Devourers struck again, but each attack was anticipated and countered. A massive fragment of a Devourer surged toward the Council station. It moved faster than anything previously seen, its surface cracking with energy. The Council's largest battleships fired everything they had, but the fragment's intelligence let it dodge almost every shot. Ward's voice rose. Focus on the core. Target its energy nexus. Hit it simultaneously from all directions. The combined fleets obeyed. Alien ships fired in perfect unison with humans. Plasma beams, missiles, and railguns struck at the same moment. The fragment screamed, though not with sound, but through the energy waves that rattled every hull. The core began to crack. But suddenly, new tendrils emerged from the shadows, attacking the very ships targeting the core. The Devourers were learning faster than predicted. RH-Tech shouted, panic rising. They adapt too quickly. They are too intelligent. Ward's eyes flared. Then we force them to think wrong. Create false targets. Make them believe we are weaker than we are. He issued a rapid sequence of commands. Human drones darted in unpredictable patterns. Alien ships followed the drones' lead. The Devourers hesitated, splitting their attention. The core of the fragment faltered again, and this time, the combined fire finally destroyed it. The chamber erupted in a mix of relief and awe. For the first time, the Council delegates began to truly understand the humans' capability. Ward's voice was calm but firm. This is only the beginning. The Devourers are intelligent, yes. But they are not creative. They can adapt, but they cannot anticipate human ingenuity. And that is why Earth does not bow. Admiral Hayes' voice added through the comms. All fleets, hold formation. Assess losses. Prepare for the next wave. They will come again, but now we know their weakness. The shadows at the edge of the system pulsed once more, massive and menacing. They were patient. They were calculating. They were coming. Ward's gaze swept across the Council chamber. Every species in this room is capable of greatness. But you've learned a hard lesson. Survival requires humans. Work with us, follow our lead, and perhaps the galaxy will endure. The Council delegates exchanged glances. Respect, fear, and disbelief filled the room. They were witnessing something unprecedented. A species thought primitive had returned stronger than any empire, leading the galaxy against a threat older than memory. Ward's final words echoed through the chamber, a warning and a promise. The Devourers will not wait. Neither will we. The galaxy will remember this day. And it will remember humanity. Outside, the shadows shifted again, moving faster, smarter, hungrier. And the war was far from over. The Devourers had grown bold. Shadows stretched across the Sol system like a living storm, blotting out the stars. Every ship in the combined fleet, human and alien, stood ready, their weapons primed. This was the moment the galaxy had feared. Ward stood on the bridge of the flagship, his eyes scanning the approaching darkness. They've learned from everything we've done. This is their final test. If we fail, the Council, the system, and perhaps the galaxy will fall. Admiral Hayes placed a hand on his shoulder. We won't fail. Not tonight. The Council delegates watched from the station's observation decks, a mix of awe and fear etched on every face. RH Tech, the Veeler, the Draker, they all knew the humans were their best hope. But hope alone would not defeat these monsters. Only strategy, ingenuity, and courage could. The Devourers surged forward, faster and larger than any previous attack. One massive form, larger than an asteroid, split into dozens of smaller entities, each moving independently but coordinated perfectly. Their intelligence was terrifying, but humans thrived on situations that required improvisation. Ward raised his hand. All fleets, execute Operation Starlight Web. Use everything we've learned about their behavior. Split into unpredictable patterns. Decoys first, heavy fire second. Target the main core of the largest entity. Timing is everything. The fleets moved like a living organism. Human ships weaved unpredictable paths through the enemy shadows, drawing tendrils away from the alien warships. Alien fleets followed instructions precisely, guided by human commands. RH Tech whispered, almost to himself. I've never seen such coordination. Ward didn't respond. He was already calculating, adjusting, predicting. Every ship, every drone, every shot was part of a grand design. The Devourers responded in kind, but humans forced them to overcommit, to expose weaknesses no sensor could predict. Suddenly, one massive Devourer fragment surged toward the Council station. It was bigger, faster, deadlier than any before. Shields flared, lasers and missiles struck, but it adapted instantly, twisting away, reshaping itself mid-attack. Panic rippled across the Council decks. Ward's voice cut sharply. Hold formation. Focus fire on the core. Predictive flares now. Small human drones darted around the massive shadow, drawing its attention. The Devourer reacted, attacking the decoys. Meanwhile, hidden strike teams emerged from the Armada, weapons charged with concentrated energy capable of destabilizing its core. Now! Ward shouted. Every ship fired simultaneously. Plasma beams, railguns, missiles, and alien energy weapons hit the Devourer core from every angle. The creature screamed, a soundless vibration felt in the bones, a pulse that shook every hull. Then, the core fractured. Explosions ripped through its body. The massive fragments split apart, scattering into pieces that burned in space. The remaining Devourers paused. Their collective intelligence hesitated. They had never faced coordinated improvisation on this scale. Humanity had forced them into chaos. Ward didn't hesitate. Push forward. Don't give them a chance to regroup. The Armada surged. Smaller Devourers were hit first, then the tendrils of the larger ones. Human ingenuity combined with alien firepower created a storm of destruction. Shadows collapsed, shrieking through space as coordinated strikes tore them apart. The Council watched in awe. This was unlike anything they had ever seen. Humans, once dismissed as primitive, had not only survived, they were leading the galaxy against an impossible foe. Finally, the largest Devourer, its intelligence concentrated in a glowing red core, rose above the rest. It unleashed a wave of energy, threatening to destroy everything. Ships faltered. Systems overloaded. Ward's eyes narrowed. This is it. The core controls everything. We end this now, or we all die. He tapped a sequence. The Aegis array spun, its energy field focused. Human ships fired concentrated beams directly at the core, while alien fleets followed with every weapon they had. The Devourer pulsed violently, twisting its form to resist, but it could not withstand the precision and unpredictability of the combined attack. With a blinding flash, the core exploded. The Devourer fragmented into pieces, its shadows dissipating like smoke in the void. Silence fell across the Sol system. For the first time in a millennium, the stars burned clearly. The Council Station's emergency lights flickered back to normal. Delegates cheered, cried, and stared in disbelief. The humans had won. Ward lowered his hand, breathing steadily. The Devourers are gone, for now. RH Tech approached him, voice still trembling. You saved us. All of us. Your species is beyond anything we imagined. Ward shook his head. We just survived. That's what humans do. We fight. We adapt. And we never bow. The chairman of the council spoke, voice deep and resonant. Indeed. Humanity has proven its place among the stars. You have shown courage, wisdom, and strength. Perhaps, it is time the galaxy learned a new truth. Earth is no longer to be ignored. Ward's eyes met the delegates. Remember this night. Humanity will defend the galaxy. Not because we seek power, but because survival is the only law that matters. The stars beyond the Council Station shone brighter than ever. The fleets repaired, regrouped, and celebrated silently. Humanity's return had changed everything. The galaxy had underestimated humans for centuries. No longer. Ward looked out into space, the remnants of the Devourers drifting into the void. A faint smile touched his lips. This is only the beginning. The galaxy will remember Earth. And the galaxy will remember that humans do not bow. And for the first time in eons, the Council understood that survival, ingenuity, and courage had a new champion. Humanity had arrived. The war had ended, but the legend had just begun.